So now I'm going to choose which one am I going to give form to, right? Because there's almost, for me, there's almost an ambiguity here. They're almost like equal weights. There's a subtle difference in what's sticking out and what's not sticking out, especially when I block it off. I'm just gonna like really block it off. Now it's a whole different thing going on there now. So I'm going to choose to give this form. So now I get to decide where is the light coming from and where are the shadows going to be. So if I'm the light, I'm shining the light straight onto this. So I might decide that the shadows go on this side. So I'm going to start bringing out the shadows. And I'm using the mid-range, starting with the mid-range. And even though it's red on here, it looks a little like rust. And we're going to play with actual shapes. Maybe next week we'll do that. I'm going to sit and think about it while I'm doing this. And then I'm going to go to the outer ring. And just see what's happening with this form being built. And this is going to be interesting to see what happens. So now I'm going to go into a darker. I'm going to choose the purple. And now I'm going to go to where would it be the darkest? On the very edges, right? Because there's a gradation. I'm just kind of using like a little figure 8. And just, okay. And so what's interesting about this, for me here where I sit, is what's happening now is because now this yellow, it's the lightest thing and it's really popping out, isn't it? Because I'm putting a dark right next to it. So even though I started working on this mid-tonal sort of color and form, now I'm really distinguishing a dark and a light. And how do I want to do this? So it messes with you a little bit. There's a little paradoxical thing happening there. And so what will happen if I take the mid-tone, and I'll take a different mid-tone. I'm going to use this kind of purpley color. So you can go right over the other colors. And that's why I love it, because when you just use the color as value and don't really care so much about what the color is, you're creating something very interesting, a depth and a layering of different colors that help to create a shadow. And it's interesting versus just taking like a dark color or black and just, throwing in the shadow, right? That is a choice that you will make, and it'll be an informed choice when you know how to do it this way, right? So it's not the only way of doing it. There's several ways of doing it. And when you know several ways of doing it, then you get to choose how based on what you're trying to say. So I'm going to keep popping in this color. And it's kind of cool as I kind of hook up over here. I'm like, oh, wow, it's already, this color is kind of already in here. I'm just going to play with what's already happening with the paint. So I'm going to go back with the darker color. And now because I'm describing the form a little bit more, you're starting to see like, oh, this is something that you could almost like touch or hold on to. And then there's still this interesting play with the light behind it, right? And so if I take all of this away, right, it looks a little different. And then it changes the whole, what's going on in here, right? So how are you guys doing with this? Is there any questions so far?